Welcome back to Packers Playbook. I am Dusty. With me, as always, John Kuhn. John, I flew a little bit solo last week. Missed you last week for sure, dealing with the Lions loss. You're back today. We're going to talk about a stomping of the Seattle Seahawks in their home in Seattle. I want to ask you how you are, but first of all, I want to say the last time the Packers won in Seattle, 2008, you were there. You caught a touchdown pass. What do you remember about that game? What do you remember about that play, if anything at all? It feels like a while ago. I know you've played a lot of games since then, but what are your memories of that game?
Yeah, 16 years ago, nothing. I remember nothing. It's so bad, Dusty, that all last week leading up into the game, everybody brought up that game as the last time somebody had won that wasn't a home team in this series. It was 10 in a row since that game in 2008. And I don't remember it because it was out in Seattle. I didn't even remember that I scored a touchdown in it. People had to remind me that was my first career touchdown. And to make matters worse, I think I just tried to forget everything that had ever happened in that stadium in my lifetime. Because between the Fail Mary, the 2014 NFC Championship game, I just wanted it all to go away. So there you go. I mean, what do I remember? Absolutely nothing.
That's good. I was looking at the stats for that game and I was like, oh man, I forgot Charlie Fry was starting that game for Seattle. So there's very little I remember as well. But man, let's get into a new memory, John. We'll get into the game we just watched this past week. Obviously, Packers win 30-13. We have got 4 plays we want to look at today, so we're going to get into them. And we are going to start. We'll say it's the first Doubs touchdown, right? So we'll kind of run this here. We got down in the red zone. Was at the 13-yard line, 2nd and 8. Got a little motion. We got this little diamond formation over to the right. It looks to me, and we'll get into this, Love is looking that little screen there first. Does not like it, moves off of it, and then has Doubs on the backside there on an in-breaker. John, what do you got on this one?
Man, listen, this is just – the Packers have been getting so much better in the red zone as of late, and this game was vintage Jordan Love Toyota-thon. We all know what that means right now. Once Toyota-thon starts, Jordan Love cannot be stopped. And right now he's humming because of stuff like this that Matt LaFleur creates. 12 personnel. Check this out, 12 personnel, and they come out and they try and match it in nickel personnel right here out of the Seahawks. They understand the Packers can throw to Tucker Kraft just like he's wide receiver. They try and match this thing in nickel personnel. But take a look what happens when they do this motion to the 4x1. When they do this little motion to the 4x1 with Jaden Reed, because they got the 2 tight ends and the running back to the right. They got the 2 wide receivers to the left. They got the passing strength and the strength of the play, all kind of wonky for what you want to think it should be on this thing. And the Seahawks are like, man, what are we doing here? So by the snap of the ball, you get Romeo Doubs on their 6'4" cornerback, Reek Woolen, their big physical guy that they have a lot of faith matching up one-on-one with guys on the outside, and Doubs just beats them. And I wrote down a couple notes on this thing, which makes this play work so well. Zone keys. He tells you right away when the guy goes in motion, look at the way they shift in the secondary, right? Nobody chases them across. They shift in the secondary. They rotate instead of going 4/3. Now they're going to go 5/4 because they brought 4 over to the right side. So again, a 4x1 means one-on-one, mano a mano, Doubs and Reek Woolen, and that's their big physical guy. Zone keys, and then watch Jordan Love's eyes. He peeks because he knows he's got to keep that linebacker and that safety. He's got to keep them honest before he pipes this thing right in there. Now watch, you're going to see that pump right there. Why do you do that pump? Because when he was ready to just trigger that thing, Doubs was still in his route. He was getting in a hand fight with Reek. He was there at the line of scrimmage, and they were battling. He wasn't turned around yet. You can't fire it until he's looking at you. This is a 10-yard route. And then, honestly, watch this catch, the tuck, and the finish by Romeo Doubs. Just sheer will. But what I love even better is, Dusty, when you show this from the other angle, he catches this missile with his hands and tucks it instantly because he knows contact is coming. I mean, this is as good as it gets. Simple slant pass, dialed up by Matt LaFleur here against nickel personnel, and just executed perfectly. Jordan, look, use your eyes, and then fire it in there.
Yeah, and you've got to get it past 48. You got the linebacker right there. You got to get it past them. Puts it in, like you said. I mean, uses those hands away from the body, snags that. That's one you can. I mean, based on where that is, you'll see guys let that get into their chest a little bit. Snag it with your hands, tuck it, and then just, man, like I said to you before we started recording, that's sheer force of will right there. That's put your head down. I thought at first the way his body was angled, his shin was going to go down before. The shin does not go down, just forces his way into the end zone. He catches this at the 6. He gets contacted by Love at the 4 and just forces his way in. Beautiful.
Again, Dusty, that's their 6'4", 210-pound cornerback that he is carrying for 20 feet, 6.5 yards, carries him straight into the end zone with another safety coming up and taking a shot at him as well. I mean, between Jordan Love, between Matt LaFleur with the play creation, Jordan Love with the execution with the eyes, that little pump, and then firing it in there, and then Romeo Doubs with the finish, that play's perfect. That play's just
It really is. And this is something we've seen them do a couple times in the red zone over the past few weeks too. You get that strong that quads or 3x1 extreme over here with a single backside. I know they scored on a Tucker Kraft touchdown. I think that was last week against the Lions. I think they scored off of not the exact same thing on this side, but same idea. You've got the concept, you're overloading a side, you've got the guy on the backside, and they'll fire to that backside. So this is something we've seen a little more from them. ISO ball a little bit over the past few weeks, really since they came out of the bye. I think the approach in the red zone has kind of shifted to this to some extent. John, anything else on this one? You want to hit the next one?
Let's hit the next one because there's a lot of similarities that go on this. This is a little bit later in the ball game, second quarter. It's 1st and 10. This is the big shot play to Christian Watson. But look, once again, the Packers in an unconventional formation for a conventional personnel group. Here we got 21 personnel, 2 backs, a tight end, Tucker Kraft up top. And the Seahawks are trying to match up in what we call big nickel, meaning the nickel is now a safety. He's a bigger guy. So, almost off the bat, unless they're being absolutely crazy, again, they're in some sort of zone man match because, I mean, look up top. You're probably not going to put your safety right there at the nickel spot. You're not going to put that nickel safety on Jaden Reed. You're going to have your corner on him if you're going to run man, right? You're going to you're going to let the safety probably play Tucker Kraft. So you probably have an idea before this motion of what they want to accomplish here, some sort of zone type of coverage. But there it is again. Look at that, 4x1. Dusty, there you go. You got your 4x1 once again. And guess what? You got now Christian Watson. What's Romeo Doubs' best routes? It's the outs. It's the slants. What's Christian Watson's best routes now, Dusty?
Run fast that way.
Go fast that way. And that's what Christian Watson's doing once again, one-on-one with Reek Woolen. What did I tell you the last play about some of my notes on Jordan Love? I said zone keys. Here, he has a zone with a man key. Okay, now he knows he's got Christian Watson on that one receiver side, one-on-one. He knows where he wants to go, but look at his eyes. Once again, eyes, stand to the right, hold that safety. And then for anybody out there that thinks, oh, this wasn't that great of a throw. This everybody makes this throw. Go out to a football field and try and throw the ball 50 yards. Just try and throw it 50 yards in the air. See how close you can get to throwing it 50 yards. And then when you do, try dropping it in a bucket the way this thing is. This ball is a 50-yard perfect dime.
I was shocked. I saw some people today saying that it was not great of a throw, and I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I do want to touch on just because I love this stuff. The concept here, they have kind of like this cross country dagger here, which is one of their core things, and then you also have, I think he's got here that kind of escort screen they've got set up. I think they actually threw one of these, so you've got that. I mean, the overload, but you're kind of coming back in there, and then you've got the one-on-one matchup. I love this pairing of this little cross country dagger with that. I think we'll move to the backside here because you can. I mean, we've mentioned this before, like you watch the stripe of the helmet. I tell my kids, watch the stripe of his helmet. You can see that little peak, right? He peeks, sees the safety. He kind of has his back turned at that point. He knows he's coming back there, right, John? I mean, from the jump, once he sees that, is that when he sees the safety of his back turn? Is that when the decision's made?
Dusty, go back again and start it again. He first looks at the safety to see if the safety's looking at him. He doesn't look right away. He looks left first. Watch. There. You see that? Mm-hmm. He peeks the safety. Then he pulls the safety with his eyes to the right. And then once he pulls the safety to the right, he knows I'm throwing this thing because he also knows where he's putting this ball is only catchable by his receiver. Now, a couple things here for Christian Watson. Push off, right? last week got called for an offensive pass interference on a play that wasn't supposed to be a pick play. This time, gets away with a little push-off. Did a good job keeping his hand low on the hip. You'll get away with them if you keep him down on the hip. You get him up on the shoulder pads, they're going to call you for that. And then nice, tough catch, knowing where you're at on the football field, stayed on the red line, meaning he had 2 to 3 yards outside of him for Jordan Love to put the football so that he could get away from the defender to catch it. And then that's a difficult catch. That's a 270-degree turn over the shoulder. Phenomenal play once again. But you can see they had a target. Their target was Reek Woolen, and they were going to get their receivers on their best routes against that guy one-on-one.
Yeah, and this is one too. I mean, honestly, just the release of Watson. He's had issues in the past getting off of that with that outside release. He just beats him clean here because if he sometimes if there's contact, like you said, the red line, he will find himself in like outside the red line, or towards the sideline there, where you don't want to be. He beats him clean off of there too, which really helps him then clean, stack, stay up there, and then just, I mean, you mentioned the push off. You can see it a little bit there. There's not a ton there, right? Like you said, to kind of lower back right on the hip, just steer him a little bit, and then kind of jump back and get it.
Well, watch Mike McDonald down the sideline. He lets you know it's a push off. Reek Woolen after the play, see, look right there. Reek Woolen lets you know it's a push off also. I mean, it's a push off, but it's not a push off if they don't call it, right? If you keep it low, if you know how to do these things, it's not a push off.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Want to hit the next one here, John?
Yes.
All right. This one, Love had a handful of throws on the day that were incredible. This was maybe my favorite. The Doubs one we'll get to next is up there, but we got 11 personnel, 2x2, a little more standard look, right? You've been talking about the funky formations, 2x2 out of shotgun. They're running a little, I mean, kind of looks like the same general concept we saw before with the whatever, the crosser from the inside, you got the breaker from the outside, but this time it's kind of this blaze out from Watson, and then he kind of flushes and makes a throw. John, what do you got on this one?
Well, listen, we've gotten pretty nerdy here the first 2 plays. I'm going to stay with that theme, and I'm going to get nerdy once again. This is when I knew Jordan Love was dealing, absolutely dealing in this night. This is how I know Toyota-thon Jordan Love is absolutely real. Comes out, breaks the huddle. Go back to pre-motion for Doubs. Go back to pre-motion. Okay, when you're sitting in this spot, I feel fairly confident. I feel fairly confident they're in zone. They're not going to let a linebacker cover all 3 of any one of those wide receivers at the top. He's not covering them. Okay, so they are in zone at this point in time. Send Doubs in motion. All right. Normally, when you send a guy in motion, you know it's man because somebody chases him. Look, nobody chases him, but look at everybody pounding their chest. Watch that guy. Watch the safety pound his chest. Watch up top. You'll see other guys up top start pounding their chest. They are making a man call on defense at that point in time. Sometimes you get it visually that you can see on film, but this is the 3rd quarter. And by about the time you hit the 3rd quarter, you have heard their checks 2, 3, a dozen times. So you now know. Jordan Love knows when he sees this and he hears whatever their call is, oh, they're in man. And guess what? I don't like it. I love Romeo Doubs against the safety on the stick route, right? I just said it's his best route. Well, Jordan Love takes a peek there. He wants to go there. That's obviously on 3rd and 4 where you probably should go to move the sticks. But damn, sometimes the safety lucks into it and plays it great. Sometimes guys, even in mismatches, are in perfect position. And Jordan feels like he's in a perfect position. And instead of hesitating or instead of forcing it, he just, boom, doubles out of that because he knows he's got Christian Watson on the double move backside. If he just gains a little bit of time, he can hit this one. I mean, this is all Jordan Love. Christian Watson makes a great catch, but this is all Jordan Love just diagnosing and he's just in his bag. He's just out there playing against the defense, and whatever the defense does, he says, no, I'm going to do my own thing.
Yeah, I want to go back a couple of those points, John. I mean, the man check call you made, I think is very good because that is something I know that modern defenses have been doing a little bit more of, because it used to be you would think motion. A lot of times the motion was get your tell, right? Get your tell. If they're following, it's man. If not, it's motion. Like you said, you got the check right there. So they are switching to man coverage. You know what you're going to get. And like you said, you like that matchup. This is something Love got burned with a little earlier in the season, was predetermining some of these quick reads. And that was that pick 6 against Houston was kind of that. It was different. It was a 2-man stick. Same basic thing, though, where you're kind of predetermining. We've seen him over the past couple of weeks, like, move off of these things a little more, because that has burned him a little bit earlier this season. So it is I know they've got me on something like this before. I don't want to do that. And then, like you said, the quick pocket's still good there, right? But then he busts out of that pocket because that first read is not there, right? He knows he's going to Watson at that point.
I believe he knows. I mean, could he come back and drill that thing right there to Jaden Reed? He probably could have done that. Could he have thrown the ball to Romeo Doubs and still got the first down? Probably, but it wasn't as clean and as perfect as he wanted in that moment on that third down in this point in time in the game. And he just, without hesitation, just pulls out and on a full sprint fires a ball where it's low and outside away from the defender. I mean, it's not a perfect. I give this an A-. It could have been a little bit higher, so maybe Christian Watson can catch and turn and bounce a guy off his hip and potentially dive for a pylon. But this is still a phenomenal ball on third down on the run. And the processing and getting to it is just prime time. This is when you know you're in a groove. They talk about being in the zone in basketball. This is being in the zone at the quarterback position.
Absolutely. Yeah. We'll look at it from this angle because you can see the throw, and you can also see, again, stripe of his helmet, kind of reading the defense here. He looks, he hit that third step. That's when you fire. He doesn't like it. Immediately grip breakout. Like you said, that could be if that's up to the outside a little bit, maybe you could run a little bit, but you're putting that low where the defender can't get it. Hard to find a ton of quibble with that. Like you said, A- seems about right to me. On the run, tremendous though. You got anything from this angle you want to talk about, John? Or you just want to move to our last play here?
Let's move to the last one because this is the one everybody wants to know. This is the one that got everybody excited. And before we talk about this play, we got to talk about the play before. It's a big third down. Packers were playing with their food in the second half. Only 3 points scored so far in the entire second half. About 5 minutes left in the ball game. Just got an interception. Are looking to put the dagger into them. They came out to the line of scrimmage, and guess what? I just showed you 3 scats where only 5 linemen blocked. All 3 of the plays I just showed you, all 3 successful, all 3 scat protections, 5-man protections. Well, guess what? When they came out, a lot of times teams and defenses in a gotta-have-it situation, they go what's called zero blitz. There's no safety. There's nobody in the middle of that football field. It is wide open because they are going to bring more to the party than you can possibly block. Right before this formation, Matt LaFleur called a timeout. He did not have the protection necessary for a zero blitz that would give Jordan the time to be able to do what he wants to do, or maybe he just wanted to make sure he was in the perfect protection, and he got to it. Look at this. You do an extra wink. So you got the longest formation you could possibly have. You got max protection, 2 tight ends in, a running back in, and they're going to go full slide. Everybody just takes that first man to the left all the way down the line. And listen, by the time somebody gets to Jordan Love, he should have already gotten rid of the ball because the last guy that can get there is this corner way out here on the outside. And Jordan Love should be able to release the football by then. So they get to this max protection, and they have this really nice 2-man concept up at the top that, honestly, Romeo Doubs he wins against both defenders. He literally beats both defenders himself individually. And my favorite part about this play, my favorite part about this throw, Dusty, is I'm going to bring up 2 throws from last year. I'm going to talk about the throw to Bo Mountain in Minnesota late in the season. Then I'm going to bring up the throw to Dontavian Wicks in Dallas divisional round. Both of those throws were thrown 2 places for the receiver to catch the ball with a man all over him. Look at this. He didn't throw that ball to Romeo Doubs. He threw that ball to a space that only Romeo Doubs could catch. And honestly, that's great coverage. That is great coverage. And Jordan Love's throw and Romeo Doubs' catch, I mean, you can't stop it. You cannot play that any better than the way the Seahawks played that coverage.
Yeah, we'll hit it from the backside here. So, I mean, you can see that. I loved they asked Romeo Doubs about, like, what were you feeling when you made that catch? He's like, I just caught the ball. He did a little more than catch that ball. I mean, that's a full scoop. You've got very little room to make that. I think he gets both feet down, an elbow and a knee. He gets like 4 different points down for this ball, I believe. Like you said, he's throwing it to a spot. I know this is where it's going. You're running out of room here. They can't go vertically. You throw it a little horizontally. The Seahawks drop a little. They're showing that cover 0, and then they show and drop, but with those guys up on the line, there's no chance those guys are getting deep. So Love knows he's got him if he wants him. Beautiful throw. Great catch on that.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't know. Did Mike McDaniel change it to a 0 a zero blitz to a zero show, underneath coverage, cover the sticks. A lot of teams will do that, just play sticks coverage. Everybody drops to the depth of the sticks, even though they're showing zero blitz. Did these guys just kind of change in their mind? Hey, that's too far to rush. I'm not going to rush that far. I mean, crazy stuff happens throughout the course of a football game, but the Packers in this instance were poised, composed, and executed in the biggest moments. We talked about red zone. We talked about third down. And we talked about a gotta-have-it situation at the end of this football game. They were successful in all of them. Jordan Love right now is getting hot again. He's getting hot. Take a look at his last 3-4 games, Dusty. He is getting hot. He got hot at the end of the year last year, and that makes me very excited for what we could have going as we roll into these playoffs.
Well, we didn't really talk about it here because we didn't really have one that we were looking at. But I will say one of the big things that encouraged me about this game, one of the talking points coming in is the pressure package that McDonald can throw at you, and Love being a little iffy against the blitz so far this year. Against the blitz in this game, 10 blitzes on 10 dropbacks. Jordan Love 8 for 10, I think 119 yards and a touchdown on those blitzes. So showed up very well against a team that brings some really creative blitzes at you. So that was pretty encouraging, I thought.
That's the bigger stats, okay? That team had the most guys with 30 pressures in the NFL. Out of any team in the NFL, they had 5 guys. 5 guys with 30 pressures. This game, Jordan Love, 20 for 27, 229, 2 touchdowns. Again, 0 interceptions. Biggest one, 0 sacks. 0 sacks. 0 sacks at the 12th man with all that noise. And those guys were getting off the ball. It didn't matter. Jordan Love, this offensive line, it's really good to be seeing that at this point in time of the season.
100%. It looks like he's rounded into form. He's healthy. Whole team's kind of playing their best, looking a little more consistent. Watson's been showing up a little more consistent. It's great to have Doubs back. John, good to have you back. You got any last words here, man? Are you just you ready to get out of here and hopefully pick up another win this weekend?
Yeah, we got to take care of business on Monday Night Football because there's another big one with Minnesota right around the corner, and that one, it's one thing to go to Seattle and beat Seattle. They might fall. I got a feeling Seattle's not going to make the playoffs. I got a feeling it's going to be the Rams getting in the playoffs. They're going to end up in the division. So we need to beat a team that's going to be in the NFC playoffs when we get there, because we're getting there. But we're going to have that win against the Rams, and everybody's going to say, oh, they didn't have Cooper Kupp, they didn't have Puka Nacua. We got one more opportunity, Minnesota. We can't overlook the Saints, but man, that's going to be a big one, and a big one for creating that confidence going in to the second season.
Absolutely is. John, as always, great to talk ball with you. Appreciate you coming on. We will we'll see what happens next week, I guess, with Christmas around. It might get a little hectic with doing this, so we will see if that happens. But always good talking ball. We'll see. Thank you all for watching, listening, whatever. We'll see you in the next week or so, I suppose. And as always, go Pack Go.